Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there? Goodness, I bled right over myself there. I didn't even realize it. Hello, everyone. Today is Wednesday, March 14th, 2018. I'm Papa Bear, and this is What's Out There. Of course, today is Wednesday, and Wednesday we've got Peter Kling with us. How are you, Peter? Peter Kling?
Yeah, I'm here doing well. They're doing well.
Okay. Goodness, I almost modulated over myself. Well, I did, actually. But anyway, what's new with Peter today? I heard you're back on your Tuesday shows on L&M Radio, right? I'm losing audio somewhere. I don't know what's happening. Lost the microphone. Oh, my goodness. I've got all kinds of stuff going on here, don't I? Hello, Peter. Are you there? I don't think this is going to... Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
There we go. Okay, all right.
I got a problem with my headset. For some reason, when I plug in the headset, I'm losing microphone. Let me try this one more time, see if it happens.
Okay. You might have to change your properties inside your computer itself, which is what I have to do when I run my show. So I'm not sure. I still don't hear anything.
Hear me now, right?
Yes, I hear you now.
Yeah, I sorry about that. Technical difficulties. What can I say?
Yeah. Well, you'll have that.
They worked last night. It's not working today. Anyway, so yeah, we had technical difficulties on the final countdown last night. We got into a good subject, and bang, they knocked us off the air. So it's just interesting that we try to get out the truth, and NSA, so somebody in the deep state, who knows, that they have these people that monitor all of us, and when something's not right, we get zapped. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, something's not right according to their state, to their interpretation.
Well, you got to take it out on someone, right?
I suppose.
Yeah. How do you like the snow?
I enjoy the snow. I don't have to get out and play in it or work in it, so I guess from that standpoint, I enjoy watching the snow. It just makes everything look clean and white. Especially up here in the mountains. It takes a while for it to
get... For the first few hours anyway, yeah. And then the road dirt builds up on it. And
well, we don't have a whole lot of road dirt here. It's right on the road, but yeah. You get into the city and in a couple hours, the snow starts looking crummy already.
Well,
and it's just a nuisance.
I woke up to everything being covered this morning. The car, my sister's car, my neighbor's car, my truck, everything was covered right up. It was about 1.5 feet, I think, or just over 1 foot of snow. And the landlord decided he was going to come in here or send somebody in at 11:30 last night. And I'm thinking 11:30 is not a good time to round up the troops to go moving cars. So I left everything where they were. And this morning my sister went out there, and he came back in at 7:30 this morning. And I wasn't even out of bed. I heard him out there, and you know what? I says, he'll do his thing, and I'll go out after, because I know the women haven't cleaned off the cars. It's just the way it is. So he did his thing. They cleaned off the cars. I went out and cleaned the truck. Finished off the driveway, so everything is clean out there now. And then my neighbor called me up and says, "Hey, can you come and plow me out?" And I says, "Well, I'd love to, but well, it seems as though your landlord doesn't like me, and he's about ready to serve me a lawsuit if I go down there and plow snow again. So we can't have that." We
Yeah,
can't
I
have
guess
that.
I guess they're crazy people in Maine too.
Well, they're worried about the liability, any kind of damage, because the woman behind us, her car got hit by one of the guys plowing snow out here. Okay, and he looked at it and this, that, and the other, and I got pictures of it. But there was a whole bit of controversy going on about that whole plow scenario. And I said, "Look, I've got it. I can do my driveway." And he said, "Look, there's liability." As I tell you what, you do everything from here over, okay? And when the cars are gone, I'll take care of there over. You won't have to worry about your house, your garage, or anything like that, fence, none of that stuff. You won't have to worry about it. So we settled on that. So I take care of like the four parking spaces, and he comes in and he plows everything off the. Believe it or not, he plows everything right off the lawn, right up onto the backyard, up against the house next door, or the fence anyway, so they can get in the garage and in the back door and the side door. And I just do whatever's out front and around the tree. So it's not too bad.
Well, it's that time of the year that we can expect pretty much anything. And as far as weather goes, we had a mini spring in February, and now we're back to winter in March. So who knows?
Yeah, and I don't know how much more of this stuff we're supposed to get. They're talking maybe another 2 inches or so between now and Friday. So, whatever.
Yeah, we live in an unpredictable world anymore.
We do.
It's not just the planet that's unpredictable. The people are unpredictable too.
Oh my! It's strange. It's like I see a ray of hope, and then all hope is gone. And then there's another ray, and all hope is gone again. And it's like every time I see a little bit of hope, something comes in and says, "You know what? You're only misleading yourself." And I still think this planet needs a cleansing. And actually, John Adams said it best. He said, "Our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. It's wholly inadequate to the government of any other." Okay, so you're atheists? You don't belong here.
Well, Thomas Jefferson said that the United States should have a revolution every 100 years, so we're only 2 revolutions behind. The problem that goes along with that is that the United States is in a revolution now. As we know, there's a governmental coup going on. We've got one state which totally defies anything that's coming out of Washington, which might be considered beneficial for the people that live there. I'm talking about California.
Right.
California has actually been rated the worst state in the union to live in.
Yeah.
Think about that.
No doubt.
The worst state to live in because of the taxes, because of the social situations that are going on there with immigrants and illegal immigrants, and the crime and mayhem that they bring. And then you've got these politicians and Hollywood people that are just going forth with this leftist, insane, moronish influence, and the people have gotten so dumbed down there. I couldn't believe this. Maxine Waters, she's a congresswoman from California, right?
Yeah.
Well, Trump insulted her pretty well the other day in his speech. I don't know if folks heard it, but he said that he called her low IQ Maxine, and that she really needed to take an IQ test. Well, Maxine replied on her Twitter, and she called Trump an SOB. Actually, she just called him a son of a bitch. It was, how dare that SOB call me low IQ Maxine. and now he thinks that an elderly woman of color should go have an IQ test. Well, I'm not peeing in a cup for anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. An IQ test has nothing to do with urinating in a cup. And she actually tweeted this. I thought, I saw somebody posted on Facebook. I said, no, this can't be right. Nobody's that dumb. Wrong. So now the question is, if you've got an elected official who doesn't even know that you need to take a written test or some kind of a multiple answer test in order to establish your intelligence, and thinks that the way that they're going to have their IQ tested is by urinating in a cup, you've got some serious situations going on there, but not just with the elected official, with the people who are dumber than that elected official who elected that official to begin with.
Yeah. Or how about Congressman Johnson that thought
Guam was going to tip over?
it would capsize? Yeah. Yeah, I thought Guam would capsize. I mean, how those people refrained from laughing out loud, I don't know. I really don't know.
And these are the people that are making the laws for this country? Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
You have to be to vote for these people.
Yeah.
And I'm not, it's like, what in the world? It boggles my mind. It just, I can't believe that people have been that dumbed down to the point where our political leaders are so stupid, but they're not as stupid as the people that elected them to office.
Yeah, but Peter, we can't see the simple things that are common sense in front of our noses. So,
wait a minute, who's we? I hope you have a mouse in your pocket.
got a driver's license?
Well, yeah, and I know where you're going to go with the driver's license bit.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you ever been to court?
Oh, please, let's not even go there.
Who's the cop work for?
Absolutely.
Who's the judge work for?
Here's the thing.
Who do the attorneys work for?
They're all in bed together. And the problem is
racketeering. It's racketeering and extortion.
The courts are not carrying out the law of the land.
They're not.
No, we are under the law of the sea.
That's right. And merchant law, which is admiralty law. Yeah, and all crimes are commercial in nature. That's right.
Do you know who invented that admiralty law?
No.
The Canaanites. Now, where have you heard the Canaanites from?
Canaanites. That's biblical. That's from Canaan, back in the Bible day. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
The Canaanites, it was Yahweh who told the Israelites after their 40 years, actually prior to the 40 years, when they wouldn't do it initially, they spent 40 years in the wilderness, and then after that 40 years, they got the instructions to take over the promised land, which was inhabited by Canaanites, and they were instructed to kill all of the Canaanites.
Right.
And they didn't.
Right, exactly.
And so we have admiralty law today.
Right.
Now, admiralty law essentially looks at all of us as vessels. In other words, you are.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm the SS Peter Kling.
Hence birth.
Yes.
Spell it with an E or an I. It doesn't matter. It's birth.
Now, the thing of it is that when we get this official name, our body, here's the genius behind it. Because they enlist our body as a vessel, the same as a ship. However, remember this expression, we are captains of our own ship.
That's right.
So, and we can go back to the scripture which says, fear not those who kill the body, but fear him who can kill both body and soul in Gehenna.
Right.
So, there's a separation here of, okay, it's just the body, it's a meat bag.
Okay.
They don't own who controls the meat bag.
Okay, so let's dig a little bit into this since you touched on it. You're talking about commerce and everyone is a vessel and the birth, okay, and all that. Now you have your bill of lading, which is your certificate of live birth. Okay. That's the package that was delivered. Okay.
Correct. And you can't do anything without the bill of lading.
Right. And where does the bill of lading go? To the Treasury.
It's going to say into the Hall of Records and then into the Treasury where they estimate our worth, whatever it may be, and then we're traded on the stock exchange.
Right. They keep the value on it, but then it's stored inventory, and there's a record of where the inventory is stored, which is by the title or the deed to the what you would call estate or the property, right? Like a title to your car. Your body has a title too, which is your certificate of live birth. Okay? You're lost at sea until you claim that you own that bill of lading, that your name is on it, that's you, that's yours, that's your estate. That's the problem.
Yes, and you have accomplished that. It was something that I've thought about doing several times and decided not to for my own particular reasons.
Yeah.
But it's more convenient for me to fight the fight that I carry out just the way that I am.
Right.
Yep. If I'm enslaved to their system, well, then I'm a revolting slave. As a matter of fact, this is the pirate vessel.
Right.
You now have a pirate vessel that has rebelled to your system. And there ain't no false flag because we have officially declared war against the system.
Right. Well, the thing is, I mean, that vessel still has a deed. Okay.
Yeah, but it's been pirated. I pirated it.
Okay. Well, they lay a legal claim on it, believe it or not. But
I agree. No argument there. I agree with what you're saying 100%. They laid legal claim. I'm in possession.
But you do own the copyrights that they created on it. So if you ever need to sign your name or put your name on something, you can use that copyright symbol, the C with a circle around it, because the name is copywritten and you do own copyrights. And that will stop them from stop you from a further crime called personage.
I wonder if you can make yourself a corporation.
You can. You can make yourself an LLC. I've already done my. I've created the fictitious name, so I have a DBA. So I've separated public and private. I have a DBA, doing business as.
Yep.
I registered in Minnesota, and then I recorded it in the local newspaper here for 2 consecutive issues, and that's public notice. So the public notices are out. I got the affidavit from the newspaper company. I have my copies. It's all here. So that's public notice. Different, huh?
Absolutely. So we can take some of our power back. But at the same point, here's kind of the way I look at it. I look at it as the stream of time in which we are in. Now, while they have laid legal claim to the body which I occupy, as I said, I've pirated it.
Yeah.
I'm no longer in their system as far as being one of their slave vessels.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You see, well, let me digress here. We can use the system to our advantage once we find the loopholes.
Right. Yes.
Now, you do have to comply to the laws of the land to an extent, and yes, even the law of the sea. And that's why I say that the vessel has been pirated.
Right. Yeah.
You see, they think that they still own it, but however, out at sea, it's a different story.
Exactly.
So we can use the freedoms that we have in order to circumvent their laws.
Right, and that's where the deed comes in, the certificate or the DBA, where you separated the two, and you say, okay, well, this is the this is the deed, or this is the bond. Okay, I brought my bond, and I'm here for the administration of justice. It's all administrative courts. Justice is all they administer, right? They are administrators. All they need is bonds. They create two of their own. They need yours. That's all.
Well, you see, the idea is to stay out of the court system. It's when we get into the court system that we run into a situation.
Right. Or you establish a different jurisdiction, and then you challenge it.
Now, provided you stay within that jurisdiction.
That's correct, because there's public and private, and they have no jurisdiction over the private, only the public. And that's why I separated public and private doing the DBA. Oh, I'm not doing business today, and I choose not to do business with you. You have a contract? I do.
And so there you go.
Right. It's all right. We can use my contract. If you decide you want to do business with me, these are my terms.
So you go down for them.
Right.
But if you have the time, here's the big issue. If you have the time, yes, you can go through it. You can get yourself taken out of the system and live as a free person on the land in their water world.
Right, but you're still bound to some sort of a contract. They're always going to whack you on contracts if they confront you. If they don't, you never have to worry about it.
Exactly. So as long as you're never confronted, it's not an issue. But when they confront, you still have to defend yourself.
What's the Boy Scout motto?
Always be prepared.
Be prepared. That's right.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. And I've said this, geez, it's got to be going on close to being 10 years now. We need to be prepared.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing. Yeah, I've been saying it for 10 years. You need to be prepared. Maybe you didn't face any disasters. Maybe you didn't have any personal or financial. Maybe you didn't meet with a tornado or a hurricane that destroyed your house. Maybe you didn't have to pick up and leave quickly because of an emergency, such as the fires in California.
Right.
You see, if you were prepared for any of those disasters that we've been facing over the years here in this country, let alone other countries that have faced difficult problems, then you could grab a bag and go, have some clothes, have some food, and have the basic needs that you need, that you have to survive. There are different levels of preparedness. And we should be prepared long-term, medium-term, and emergency bug-out term. In other words, you grab the most important things that you need, along with a supply of food and some water in a bag that would be good for at least 3 days. At least 3 days. And you grab it and you go. You make sure you have your important documents or whatever you need in that bag as well.
Yeah, and make sure you have a place to go that's high and dry.
Exactly. But now, that's short term. Longer term, when I say, or what actually is medium term, is I'm looking for 90 days. In other words, if you could store enough food and water for 90 days, you'd probably be good. But what we need for long term is in excess of a year.
Right.
Food and water for a year. Now, if you have an emergency and you got to get out of your house and you got all your food and water for a year stored at the house, well, you're going to have to abandon that and go, maybe hopefully come back and it'll still be there. But at least you've got your short-term emergency bag to run with. So being prepared doesn't mean that you don't need to have that whole year. I mean, that's what I would like. That's what I like to have. At least, enough beans and rice to last a year. I'll try to figure out where I can find a fish or catch a rabbit or something if I need the meat. But beans and rice will give you a whole complete protein and will keep you alive. Yep, it ain't the best. Yep, it's not your favorite veggies or filet mignon or whatever, but it will keep you alive.
Exactly. Sustenance is what you're looking for. Plus, there's other stuff that grows out there too if you're in that time of year. And there are certain times of year when you have to worry about shelter and heat. And in today's culture, you're going to have to scare up some electricity somewhere.
Pretty much. And I'll tell you what, one of the best little investments that we made on the mountain, and I hate plugging, I hate giving anybody a commercial, but this is for your own benefit. If you can afford, if you have the need for a large generator, you want to run your whole house, then you have to get a large generator. But if you're looking at something for a little emergency backup, you can get a Honda generator. Those things are sweet and they're quiet.
Yeah.
And you can run them off of propane, the 2,000 watt generator. I know the 2,000 watt generator, you can hook up to propane and do a propane conversion for it. And so, that you can use different fuels that might be available.
Yeah, and 2,000 watts, I mean, you can run your refrigerator, charge your iPhone, and run a computer too.
Pretty much. So, and it's still light enough where you're not having to lug something huge around with you. Put it in the trunk of your car, or even put it in a wagon and pull it with your bag, or whatever the case might be.
Right. Now, I have a 6500 Surge, okay, and it 5500 constant. It ran 220 in the house, and the only time it bogged down was when the water pump kicked on, 220 volt water pump. And of course it would, right? But it was just when it fired up, and after it started running, there was no lag after that at all. But then again, I was taking care of my mother. She was watching her TV, all the appliances were going, the light. I mean, it was like we never even lost the power. 6,500 watts is like you never even lost the power when it comes to two people,
Yeah, and it all depends on the demand that we have as far as, what. Hey, you have a lot of electronic stuff in your house, or a lot of electrical stuff. You're going to need a bigger generator. You got a larger family, you're going to need a bigger generator. Depending on how you're set up, or how your planning goes, that might all be involved. The house that I'm in now, it's not my house. But it has a 10,000 watt generator and 250 pounds of propane hooked up to. I guess a 250 gallon tank of propane hooked up to it. So it's going to run for.
That's the Piglet type one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And when we had it's interesting. We were here 2 days. And the power went out, and it was snowing pretty hard. We just got here before the snow hit. The power went out. The generator, in 30 seconds, the generator powered the whole house back on automatically.
All right.
So,
hey, why don't we take this quick break here, and then we'll finish up after our little break.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, you're listening to What's Out There. I'm Papa Bear, and we've got Peter Kling with us today, and we shall be right back.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on latenightinthemidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The L&M Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others whom are interested in the topics and guests that the L&M Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed. at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
Back. It's Ben Sound, bensound.com. That's where we get the music. bensound.com. You're listening to us on latenightinthemidlands.com or lnmradionetwork.com or one of the other many websites we're at. We're also at 101.7 WCET Columbia Talk. You'll find us on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, and the Paranormal Radio app. We're all over the place. LNM Radio Network. Look us up. I'm Papa Bear, and of course we have with us Peter Kling. Welcome back, Peter.
My pleasure. It's always a pleasure being here with you. And it's even a pleasure being in the same state with you. And that, we got into preparedness before the break. That's actually part of my preparedness. I was living in an area that was becoming more dangerous.
Right.
And I saw things that I didn't like. The biggest thing that I saw that I didn't like was the Pope standing in America's holy places.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. This country was founded on separation of church and state. Why is this pontiff telling us what to do? And indeed, that's part of the corruption that's going on with the deep state that's being cleaned out. However, that's another show.
You mentioned that, and that was something I did want to touch on. Because you would think that Trump is putting these people, these deep staters, right in there where, I don't know, things aren't going to be right. You know what I mean? Everything is going to hit the fan. And because these people kind of specialize in that area, what he's doing is he's giving them the rope. I'm going to give you enough rope to hang yourself. What are you going to do with it? He's also found out that ever since the Mueller investigation with Peter Strzok and Lisa Page and the other ones. Well, it seems to me as though they're collecting a bush full of songbirds. You have a choice. You can continue in the ways of that you're doing, and spend a whole lot more time in places where you don't want to be, or you can be there like nice little people, and you can speak when you're spoken to. You answer the questions you're asked, and everything will be fine. We'll move along just good. What do you want to do with it?
Well, you know, here's what nobody counted on. The NSA.
Yeah.
And you see all of Hillary's emails, all that whitewash stuff, all the stuff that's been hidden. No. It might be encrypted, but it was all captured and stored in the NSA's cloud.
Yes.
And so they know it's there. They can go back and they can pull it from the NSA records, and everything that they smashed up on the computers or try to, bleach, wash, or whatever they did.
Yeah,
that's all recoverable.
Oh yeah,
that's all recoverable, and they already have it. You see, what they never realized is that when they lost control of the situation, and this is why it's so important to impeach Trump, and why now he's allegedly dodged 7 assassination attempts. Interesting. Well, not that I would doubt that. That's why he's got his own security service and doesn't rely on the Secret Service, which is actually it's connected right back to the Vatican.
Yes.
The same Secret Service that was in charge of Nazi Germany, the hated SS.
Right. Yeah.
is a direct control agent from the Vatican.
Right. Nazi, National Zionist. And the Zionists are the ones that the Balfour Declaration instilled into the Middle East.
Exactly, and well, that's a whole nother show.
Yes. Oh yeah, it is. These are short shows.
Yeah, but the situation is that the United States, or I say the people of the United States, weren't sure which side they were going to go with, either Germany or England. And naturally, the fix was already in, but there was still a lot of political indecision. And the power brokers in this country were making large investments into Germany.
Yes.
Ask why Henry Ford's plants in Germany never got bombed.
They did. One did, and he sued and won.
There you go. I stand corrected, but you know the outcome.
Yeah. He sued and won, yes. The big life-size portrait of Henry Ford on Hitler's wall. Yeah, we know the whole thing. I do. But this whole thing, he was brought down. He was built up to be brought down because of the steel mills.
Well,
technology.
Where I was going with this was there was a major dollar investment from the United States into Germany.
Yes.
And the investors wanted a return on their investment. They wanted their ROI. And so under Operation Paperclip, it wasn't just Werner von Braun and the NASA space show that was brought over.
Yeah.
It was Germany's deep state, the Gestapo, spies, the SS. They were all the top people were all brought over. There were over 50,000 people brought into the United States from Germany that were part of the German control mechanism. So
if you get a chance, Google Paperclip, Operation Paperclip, and MK Ultra.
Yeah, and so this all stems back. There's, for some reason, and I haven't been able to quite identify it yet, but for some reason, Germany wields a lot of power.
Yeah.
Old power.
Yes.
Keep in mind, it was Rome that could not defeat the Germans. Well, it wasn't Germany back then, but when the Caesars tried to take over Europe, they had to go around Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because those tribes wouldn't the Germanic tribes just decimated the Romans.
Yeah.
They beat them at every turn. And so the only way that the Germanic tribes were conquered was through the church.
That's
so
right.
Where did the Reformation start? And this is where it gets personal for me, because it was my ancestors that were right there with Martin Luther when they denounced the church, when they exposed the lies of the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here we are again, 500 years later. The 500th year anniversary was October 31st, 2017.
Right.
It's like, okay, how does all this stuff come back together again?
Right.
So
right.
This is an interesting time in history in which we are living. It's probably the most fantastic time of history.
It is. It is.
And so here's another reason why we need to be prepared. We see this stuff going on with the deep state. We see what's happening in the government. Trump has declared a state of national emergency, which is, okay, what do you want him to do? Just reactivate martial law? I mean, we're already under martial law. It's just inactive martial law.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons. I forget what the actual law is pertaining to martial law, but there has to be, the United States needs to be involved in a war someplace in order to keep martial war alive.
It's a state of emergency, is what it is. And they've declared that. And they've also, look at all the CEOs that are resigning now.
Okay, he declared a state of emergency on his executive order dated, interestingly enough, 12/21/2017.
Yeah.
But what was that order about? It was about
human
people
trafficking.
violating. Well, it was human rights.
That's right.
And conspiracy.
Right.
Conspiracy to do what?
Daily. You see it all the time. Daily.
And so when you read that document, one of the line items that is in that document is people who have used the government for their own personal gain.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, so you have the question was asked, where did Maxine Waters get her millions from? Where did any of these politicians get their millions from?
They write in the legislation, it changes the laws, and the stocks go through the roof, and they own the stocks. They have stockbrokers.
Yeah, so that's inside trading. That's a violation of the SEC rules.
Well, but no, Congress is exempted from that.
So now they're above the law.
Right. Exactly. So now they've turned it into a profitable place, okay, where they're not serving the people anymore. Now they're self-serving. They've defeated the whole purpose of the office. It's no wonder these people don't have two sparks going among their brains.
Yeah, they sold out, and they're controlling masses. That's why, if you've watched my Facebook page for the last 2 years, I've had 4,900 friends for 2 years.
Yeah.
I will never have 5,000 friends, because once you hit 5,000 friends, that's a half of a division.
Right.
That's an uprising. If you control 5,000 people, or you can influence 5,000 people, they want to know about it.
That's right.
That's one of the reasons that they set up the algorithms, that you only have your closest network that knows anything about what you're doing.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to track, and they just block those other people off. Okay, yeah, you got a lot of friends, big deal. They ain't never going to know you exist anymore. And so I just keep on rotating the bottom out.
Yeah, no, I don't have that many friends, to be honest with you. I don't do this for fame or anything like that, okay? The idea is to get the message out there. A few people get it, and it starts, to get it into the ether. So it's out there. Yeah. It's a spoken word, it's out there. That's all I care about.
Absolutely.
Okay. And of course, Michael Vera's radio station, I help them out too. That's another reason.
We fill up airtime.
Yeah, and I enjoy doing this for Michael. If it gets some listeners, it's great. That's wonderful. That's all my intent is, or actually to get a message out to the people who will listen. Okay, what's going on here now is a war against good and evil. Okay, and if you have not been chosen already, my advice: prep, pray, and stay out of the way. Okay.
Pretty much, and I refer back to the Bible a lot, Barry. But there's nothing religious in what I say.
Right.
Nobody has ever heard me. Oh, you're gonna be raptured. Oh, you're gonna burn in hell. Yeah. Oh, God told me to tell you you're a bunch of sinners. Nobody's. You never hear me saying anything about that.
You don't use God's word to be a hypocrite.
No.
We don't point fingers. For every one finger pointing forward, 3 point back. Okay, remember, remove the plank from your own eye before you try to remove the splinter from mine.
But here's the thing: I literally changed the Bible around 1980, and that's when I figured out that Genesis chapter 2, verses 21 through 23 was a record of genetic engineering. Right. So who were the genetic engineers?
Exactly.
You see, now once we identify that, we were genetically engineered, it wasn't some holy mystery.
Right.
With my science background, because I became a scientist, not a minister.
And then
with my scientific background, I went back and re-examined the scriptures using science, because scientists don't believe in mysteries.
Right. Now here's some questions that really need some answering. Who gave man his soul?
That's from the very Creator itself. That's from the creative intelligence that caused everything that there is to become. I mean, here's a whole nother show, but we're going to go down a philosophical trail that's mixed with so much science. I did a show with Lenny Time on Late Night in the Midlands just this past Monday, and we cover a lot of this. Well, Lenny's he's a chemist, but he's an inorganic chemist. I learned organic chemistry, and he became a member of academia. I mean, he's got his PhD. The man's brilliant, and he came to the comprehension that everything that he was taught, up to the point where he was actually part of academia, was all lies. It was all nonsense. It wasn't the real narrative.
Yeah.
And so that was an interesting thing, because there's only two narratives that are played on this world, and I don't care where you are, if it's religion or government, there are only two narratives. The first narrative comes from the Anunnaki, from ancient Samaria, the cradle of civilization, and that narrative is that one of government and religion to enslave people to gather gold for the elite, so the elite can give it to the alien off-planet beings, the Anunnaki.
Right. To work with drones.
Yeah. So, and they tell us that they genetically engineered us from lower life forms. Now, it's interesting. You go to the scriptures, and what does it say in Genesis, the first chapter? It says, "Let us make man in God's image." Doesn't say anything about let's genetically engineer him from the chimps.
Right.
Okay,
right.
It says, let us make man in God's image. And then you go to Genesis chapter 2, the creation of Adam, the first perfect human. And this is interesting, and I'm going to make a point here. It says that Adam was created out of the dust of the ground, out of the elements.
Right.
Out of stardust, essentially.
Silica.
And that's what that's what the body was made out of.
Silica, water, and carbon.
Yeah, pretty much. It's less than $5 worth of ingredients.
Yeah, well, remember, Dr. Coldwell was saying that you can get food-grade silica, and for roughly $3,000, you have enough for a life supply to sustain life for all your life. You never have to eat anything. That's your consumption right there.
I'd rather absorb it in other ways. But anyway.
Yeah, some ways more enjoyable, yeah.
Here's the thing that's important. So here you have this genetically engineered body, the vessel, the meat bag. Yeah. And it says that Yahweh or Yahuwah, Jehovah, breathed the breath of life into it. In went the soul through the breath, and the man became a living soul. Now, when it comes to Eve, there's genetic engineering, but where was she genetically engineered from? She wasn't an upgrade. The genetic material came from the living soul, that perfect human, which was created directly by Yahweh.
Right.
So now here's the thing. If God created us, who's our father? And then what does that make us? Doesn't that make us gods?
Yes.
Yes, you see, and that's why
Does that
it
make
took
us sons
Jesus.
of God or
Yes.
children of God? Yes.
Exactly. And so if we're children of gods, are we not gods?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you see in
The only
Genesis
thing
what
we
it talks
don't-
about.
The only thing we don't have is eternal life.
That's it. That's the key. And so because of that, we are sinners. We miss the mark. We don't have perfect human DNA. Sin has nothing to do with our morality. Well, it kind of does, but not directly. It has to do with imperfect human DNA. Jesus didn't die because you slept with somebody that you shouldn't have slept with, or you decided to take up a certain lifestyle. He died in order to replace what Adam had lost. In other words, it took a son of God to replace what a son of God had lost.
Right. Right.
And that's what breaks us out of this bond of incompleteness, this bond of sin. Our DNA does not meet the mark. It misses the mark of perfection. We no longer have the God DNA. We've got something that's closer to everything else that's on the planet Earth. However, our DNA still holds all the information for all life that was ever created on this planet.
Right.
So, big surprise, we're the pinnacle of creation. And that's why the angels cheered when man was created, because the baby was born.
Right.
Everybody's excited when the babies are born. And it doesn't make any difference what generation it is. If you are a parent, weren't the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, your siblings and the other kids, if there were any, when that child was born, everybody celebrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think happened with our cosmic family when man was created and we were set on a path? Of course, there was a lot of great sorrow when there was disobedience and that perfect DNA was destroyed because of reptilian interference. It's right there. What was it? It says the serpent. It doesn't say snake. It says serpent. What's a serpent? A reptile. And when you get to Revelation, that serpent also grows up because now it's a great dragon. It's a fiery colored, 7-headed, 10-horned dragon.
Yeah.
And it does battle with Michael and his angels. And so now we have a version of Star Wars. Why do you think we have aliens here? It says, it goes on to say that the great dragon dragged a third of the stars with it as it was cast down to earth. And then there's a warning, woe, woe, woe to the earth, for the devil has been cast down to you, having great anger, knowing he has a short amount of time. Hello, folks. Earth is a prison planet. Nobody's getting off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Satan's been sent here.
Right.
And so now you wonder why we've got 8 million children a year being offered up as child sacrifice or being turned into the porn industry.
Yeah, no kidding. The sick Craig Sawyer, I talked about this yesterday. Craig Sawyer, the sawman, he's up sweeping up pedophiles, and there's been a lot of them that have been scooped up, and they continue to be taken. So believe me, it's coming down, and they're putting people in the right places. They've got sealed indictments going out. They're not letting anybody know who is who because they don't want anybody collaborating. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're going to keep them all separate. And
we may never even hear about this until they're all rounded up.
Exactly.
Because they want to do this. We're all chomping at the bit. Let's hear something. Let's hear Podesta got arrested. Let's hear Hillary got arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're rounding up all the underlings and working their way up. And if they just went out and they just arrested Hillary, let's say, there would be mass riots. Trump arrested Hillary.
Yeah.
No, No, Trump had nothing to do with this. You see, Trump passed the law. It's the military that's going to arrest Hillary.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's an act of treason that she's guilty of.
Yes, it's warring against the country, and right down to the arms dealing. Yes, absolutely. For a lot of the other ones, is espionage.
How many Americans did Bush, Bush and Obama send to their deaths?
Yeah. Too many.
Over what? Over what?
Gaddafi's gold. Oil.
Artifacts in Iraq.
A pipeline through Syria.
Opium in Afghanistan. 80% of the world's opium comes out of Afghanistan.
Yeah, and the rest comes out of North Korea. Yeah.
So, and here's an interesting thing. Before I left Pennsylvania, this was about 2 years ago, they were interviewing a police chief from a couple of counties over, close to where Joe Biden was born. And they asked him what are his biggest crimes. The two biggest crimes that they were busting in his district: number one, opium related, or I say heroin related. Number two, pedophilia.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And what are the two biggest money makers on the planet? Opium and human trafficking.
Right, exactly.
It hasn't changed in hundreds of years.
No.
So there you have it. As a matter of fact, Queen Victoria I, it was believed, the second. Queen Victoria II was believed that a third of her income came from the opium trade.
Yeah. All right, Peter, we got to wrap this up. I just got a couple of minutes before I do my outro, and
yeah, folks, be prepared. We're going to see change coming. Whether you're prepared for 3 days or 3 months or a year, be prepared. And if you live in a city, think about moving to the country.
Yeah, think about defending yourself against the people who might show up.
Yeah, that was one of the things in Pennsylvania. I was looking at 20 million people out my front door.
Yeah.
So,
website, Peter?
www.peterkling.com. Join me on Facebook. If you need to get in touch with me, you want to write me, ONE@peterkling.com. Folks, have a wonderful day. Love and blessings to all. Barry, thank you for having me on the show. Support Late Night in the Midlands and keep us on the air. Have a fantastic week.
Thanks, Peter. And that's Peter Kling with a K, Kling, just to make sure you get it right. Anyway, wind it down here. It's Wednesday, a snowy Wednesday. Thanks for listening. This is L&M Radio Network and WCET 101.7 Columbia Talk. And that, my friends, is pretty much what's out there. Have a great day.
Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election, and it's the same two people that we're discussing a little bit later in the text, the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there?